Welcome to the latest Quarry podcast. We're here with Grow. Thank you for coming in. We've got Jack, Marguerite, and Mandy. I was just hoping, could you just start up maybe telling us a little bit about why Grow exists?
Grow exists to support people with learning disabilities and difficulties into employment, ultimately. It was started 40 years ago by a very innovative, gentleman and some friends, and they started with lots of people sort of going there for occupation, and 40 years later, we're still going.
Yeah, now, 40 years on, it's a very different operation to what it was back then. Look,
Yes,
both ways.
it is.
Yeah.
Yes, 40 years ago, it was Guernsey's Rural Occupational Workshop, and it was based purely on horticulture and somewhere that people with learning disability could come and spend their time in a safe environment and doing something that was worthwhile. And it was, in those days, ahead of its time throughout the UK. It was actually very innovative. But over the years, it's developed to such an extent that, about 15 years ago now, the then directors said that the greenhouse was in such a condition that really it had passed its sell-by date and it was time to think again. So there was a massive redevelopment project organised, and now we have a £4 million new facility where the crew can now, we call all our attendees crew, where they can work in horticulture. But alongside that, there are opportunities to learn in hospitality in our cafe and in the workshop to learn carpentry skills. And we have a little retail unit where retail skills are being taught.
It's amazing to see, or even think about how it's been developed. And if people have never been down to Grow before, what can they expect if they pop along?
Something slightly different than what it was before. I think I joked that it was 4 greenhouses and a couple of sheds, but it wasn't far off. And now it feels like a huge business, really. I mean, it's a big main building. We have charities co-located there with us. So we've got Citizens Advice, Pause for Support, Carers Guernsey, Wigwam, Mencap, and That's it. Yeah, and we've got somebody else moving in fairly soon as well. We've got rooms for hire, so a big training room and a boardroom. And I know Marguerite talked about, the opportunities we've got. We've also got opportunities in sort of like people helping with our admin team, our office team. We've got people, people can help with events that we have on there, so serving sort of conferences and things like that. So a huge amount of opportunities.
And part of the philosophy is obviously about moving people on into the world of work as well. Can you talk us for a little bit about that and any success stories that you could give us as well?
So we Grow really, I suppose, in the beginning was a sheltered workplace or somewhere where people could go for occupation. But what that meant was usually you'd end up with, say, 30 people there being able to attend full time. But then there was no space for anyone else. And I think 40 years ago, it was very innovative, as Marguerite said. As a learning disability nurse, I've been in learning disability nursing for 30 odd years, and I've never seen anything quite like Grow is now. But what we want to be able to do is offer that to far more people. And these days, I think there's much more opportunity for people with a learning disability or difficulty to go into paid work. So rather than just staying at Grow for life, we would love them to go on to paid work. We work very closely with Guernsey Employment Trust and others, and we look to see if people can gain skills and go on training pathways within Grow with Get Support, and then hopefully people can go on to paid work. We had 3 people last year go into paid work, 2 of whom had been with us for probably around 4 years, and another young lady who went into paid work in January this year, and all 3 remain in paid work.
That must be really
amazing.
Sort of heartwarming as well, to see that effect.
Well, I mean, I suppose ultimately we'd like to be out of a job that people with learning disabilities all go into paid work, but that's unlikely to happen, I suppose. But
Jack, I was hoping you'd be able to explain to us what you do on a day-to-day basis down at Grow. What does Grow mean to you?
what did you do this morning?
This morning, when I got to Grow this morning, when at 9 a.m., 2 minutes before 9 a.m., I went to the greenhouse and I decided to water plants in the car park, and then I put a trolley with 3 watering cans on, and I decided to water some more plants around the car park for break time, and then at about 25 minutes past 10, was it? Yes, at 10:25, 5 minutes before 10:30, Wendy comes to the cafe to call me to come and do an interview at this place, and then about over 40 hours let me see, just about over a few years ago, before we moved to the new site, we used to stay at the old Grow, the old one. You remember the old one that we used to go to?
That's right. It was Avondale, wasn't it?
Yes, the old Grow in Avondale. That one has been taken down, and we raised about £4 million to raise enough to raise £4 million to get the new site built with a bigger greenhouse, a car park, a disabled car park, and a bike rack, and a cafe, and so much more.
How do you find the site now compared to what it was in the old one?
The old one was old. It was cramped. There was no car parks. There was no parking spaces. All of the customers had to drive on the gravel so many times, and there was no safety, and there was no parking at all. Not even one parking. So all the customers had to park on the gravel. But now, and about 40 to 10 years later, the new cafe, the new Go has been built.
And
10 years later.
You've worked in the cafe, haven't you?
I was loads of times.
And how did you like the cafe?
Yep.
What do you do? What do you do in the cafe when you're working in the cafe?
Well, before I helped in outside, I serve customers sometimes, or I become a waiter or a chef sometimes, and then over 2 years ago, I moved about over 10 years ago, before my 15th birthday on May 17, 1984, I came to Guernsey over 15 years ago, before I was 10 years old, when I was 10. And me and Mum has been moved to Guernsey. I was born in 2000, May the 7th, 2000, and my mum was born in 1981, the end of August.
There you are.
So 25 plus 19. So my mum is so she was born over 40 years ago.
Wow.
And she has been pregnant with me since I was 2 years old, 2 months old, over about 22 years ago.
What do you do with the trolleys at Grow?
And at the end of the day, at 4 p.m., I always park all the trolleys in parking spaces on the rack, and just by the entrance. And then at the end of the day, the cooks and the waiters take all of the laundry and all the rubbish and litter and food waste out to the tops to get dumped or put in the washing machine. And the cooks and the waiters, whoever is in the front, they have to do a checklist between about 1 to 17, and then another one is the flat is put up at 10:25, and the customers will start to arrive at 10:30, and at 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon, everyone will start to put all of the stuff away, like all of the dishes need to be cleaned, the drilling board needs to be emptied, the dishwasher needs to be drained as well, and everything needs to be spick span, and spotless.
It's brilliant. It's great to hear, like Jack was talking about, like the transformation and the amount of fundraising that had to happen for that to go ahead. How is Grow funded, and how do you?
A massive fundraising campaign. We were very fortunate that Guy and Julia Hands joined us as our patrons at a very early stage. And once we had them on board, it gave other people the confidence to join us and to also help with the funding. So we set ourselves an initial target of £3 million, although it did slightly overrun thanks to COVID and Brexit and a few other little problems along the way. But generally, it was a very, very successful campaign. And when we got to £2.5 million, we then opened it up to the public. And Guy and Julia gave us a challenge. They said in June that if we could raise the final £375,000 by the end of August, which was in fact our deadline, they would give us 125 to make up the balance. And Guernsey came on board. Everybody was absolutely fabulous. We had donations of £10 to 10,000. And one particularly heartening donation was from a gentleman who came in to see our bookkeeper and gave him £100 in cash. And our bookkeeper said to him, "Thank you very much. What's your name?" And he said, "You don't need to know my name. I'm a Guernseyman." And I thought that just sums up the Guernsey community spirit.
Talk to me a little bit about the ongoing running costs as well.
Well, it actually costs us over £750,000 a year to run Grow. We have about a third of that with a service level agreement, which we have from Employment and Social Security, which is locked in for 10 years. We're extremely fortunate to have that security, and we're actually into our third year now. Another third will come from our plant sales, which are extraordinary. The quality of our plants is really very, very good. And I think that's being populated around the island. People realise how good our plants are, and we're getting lots of customers. So with our plant sales, our cafe takings, retail, woodwork, and room hire, we need to raise another third. And a third then comes from donations, corporate sponsorship. And this year, we're actually working hard on legacies, because we're probably one of the very few charities in Guernsey who has guaranteed longevity. We own our site. We know we're there for more than the next 40 years. We're there for a very long time. There will always be adults with learning disabilities who need that sort of facility. So it's a good fundraising project. And yes, so legacies is certainly somewhere that we're looking to hopefully secure our future.
And talking of that future as well, are you currently in a bit of a sort of settling in phase, having had all those changes come through? Is that fair to say?
I should think so. We came back on site in September 23, and the first year, last year, 2024, was a bit of a stabilisation period where we weren't sure how busy we were going to be, how many plants we'd need. So last year we had 30,000 plug plants. This year we ordered 55,000, and we are selling like crazy. I think people realise that it's not just about supporting people with learning disabilities in the charity anymore. The quality of our plants, the quality of our cafe food and things are, they're fantastic. And we're getting lots and lots of repeat visitors, but lots and lots of new visitors. I think after Liberation Day, when we did the tea tent, which was a massive success with the OGH, we've got lots of new people coming in and saying, we saw you on Liberation Day, we came to the tea tent, we saw the cavalcade, we've come in for the first time, and we're still getting lots and lots of new people coming into site, which is great.
Do you think you have to scale up again next year then? Is there signs of...
I think we'll have to squeeze some more in somewhere, or I don't know. Stu's our horticulture manager. The quality of the plants is down to him and the team. It's absolutely fantastic. But maybe we'll have to squeeze some more in somewhere.
Did I hear somewhere there's some chickens have arrived down on the site as well?
I have.
Yes, we do. We got chickens with us now. That lays every 4 minutes, I think.
Where they live they lay every day. Almost every day.
They lay every day, most times, sometimes.
And where are we going to use the eggs?
All of the eggs, all the fresh eggs will be carried in cardboard egg holders.
Yeah.
And someone will deliver the eggs towards the cafe down in the bottom. Sometimes you can just carry them by hand, or you can just call for someone for trolley. It's very simple.
Yeah.
Simple.
Very simple. And it's not. So are the chickens going to be fed what you've produced, the scraps?
They get fed. They get watered. They change the hay. Someone changes the hay every day to make sure that all the eggs are fresh. To make sure no egg skin doesn't get damaged or broken or anything.
So the crew are learning about animal husbandry as well, and a bit of a cyclical economy.
Animal daycare and safety about
Exactly
eggs.
that.
Because eggs are easily broken and milk is easily spilt. So go easy.
So the eggs are taken down to the cafe and we make cakes and quiche and whatever.
Quiche, pizzas, anything that you can think of with eggs.
Anything we can do with an egg. And then,
milk, of course, milk.
What the cafe then do is take all the food waste, the bits and pieces of salad or whatever we've got left, up to the chickens, and we give the chickens that, and then the chickens lay us eggs. But also what the chickens do is they poop. So we get the chicken poo and we put it in the compost. So the compost, and that gives it lots and lots of nutrients. And then we use the compost to reinvigorate the soil in the greenhouses. And so we go from sort of seed right the way through to table. So seed, we sow the seeds, then we prick them out and pot them on. And then they go into the greenhouse, the main greenhouse for sale, or they go into the produce greenhouse to be grown on, and then we get all the produce off them. So tomatoes, lettuce, cucumber, carrots, strawberries, lots of things. And they go to the cafe. Any excess is sold.
All the fresh fruits and vegetables will go to the cafe, and the flowers.
And then the scraps
plants,
go back to the chicken.
And the scraps goes to the chicken, like pronto.
It's beautiful. Like you could describe that as the circular economy. It just sounds great.
Yeah.
The talking a little bit about the wider impact of Grow as well. So obviously a fantastic facility that people can go along to. Your crew are down there getting a lot out of it as well. But there's that bigger economic impact as well in terms of what that means for Guernsey. Could you talk us through that?
I think we always welcome visitors to site. We had a visit actually from the Rotary yesterday. But one of the things that we're looking at doing is being involved with some of the schools around their outdoor curriculum and learning about plants and learning where plants and their vegetables and things come from. So St Martin's School, we've worked quite closely with their year ones and year threes, and they've come up to us and had a tour from everywhere, the chickens and the compost, all the way through site to, depending on what they need to learn, they plant a seed then at the end. The year threes were with us a couple of weeks ago and planted up some pollinator plants. So they'll take those back to school and grow them on and then plant them in their pollinator patch. And we talked a lot about Guernsey natives, about where your food comes from, about pollination and lots of other things. We like to get out into the community, don't we? We like to get all over. We'll go to the shows. We put up stalls. We welcome people on site to see what we're doing. Do lots of tours. Jack's good at tours.
And car washing as well.
And car washing, yeah.
So much going on, isn't it? What do you see as the future of Grow as well? And is it a model that you would like to propagate? Boom, boom. Elsewhere as well. I mean, what further afield into the UK is there lessons to be learnt?
I think as a learning disability nurse who came from the UK 15 years ago, one of the big things for me is that I don't know anything like Grow. There are small sort of horticulture sort of day centres, places where people can go. There are cafes. There are little individual things going on, but not generally everything that we do. There's so much opportunity at Grow. I was talking to someone in the UK recently in the south of England. They've got a small kind of little horticulture place where they do growing on and potting on plants. They've got a tiny cafe in a porter cabin, but it's mostly to feed the crew. And he was talking about, we're trying to exchange ideas. I think Guy and Julia are quite keen. They have friends in the UK who are really keen to look at the model that we have. So
it sounds like exciting opportunities. And there's a further part to your work as well in terms of the carers and the parents of your crew and what this means for them. And if you could say a bit more about that as well.
I think for me, when people leave school, if you have a learning disability, you're at school for 25 hours a week, so 5 days a week, and then sort of you reach 19 and you leave school. And then if you don't go on to college, what is there for you? I know that the states will look at certain provision, but that's only at a specialist level, sort of a higher level. What Guernsey really needs is somewhere like Grow, where people can have some occupation, but also learn new skills. So have lots and lots of skills to go on to employment potentially. Not everybody will go on to employment, but actually we can be part of the wider community through working with schools, working with other community projects.
That's great. And one last word from both of you. What I think I almost started with this, but what does Grow mean to you?
Gosh, I think having been involved with Grow now for 10 years, I suppose, and seeing how it's evolved from a horticulture-based environment to what we're doing now, it just means such a lot to see how much benefit we can pass on to so many people with learning disability. It's a unique environment, and if anybody hasn't been down there, I really recommend it. We invited all the potential deputies down about a month ago, and 43 of the 81 came along. And when they left, without exception, they all said that they had no idea just how much we were doing there and what it meant to Guernsey. So that was a great sort of boost for us, actually, to see that they felt that strongly about it.
And you, Mandy?
I feel incredibly proud to work for Grow. I love every day, generally. No, there's some challenges, but every day I go into work and we have a laugh, don't we? Mm-hmm. We have a laugh with each other and we work hard, but it's incredible to see the progress that people make. We have one young lady who has been at Grow for a while. When I first met her, she had ear defenders on most of the time. She created a frog called Frollo, who has now become our mascot. We have a mascot costume, and she's done a Frollo trail around the site. When I first met her, as I say, she wore ear defenders, and when we were nominated for the Entrepreneur for Good Awards at the Veillon Awards last year, she came with us, and there were 200 odd people in the room, from what I gather. And she actually came on stage to collect the award with us. And it was such a proud moment. I feel really, really privileged to work for somewhere like Grow.
And what's your favourite thing about Grow?
Giving customer direction about where they would like the park. Helping customers carrying plants in their cars, washing cars, and so much more.
Jack, Marguerite, Mandy, thanks so much for your time and explaining more about Grow, and hopefully more people will be coming down through your doors and seeing what happens down there as well.